All right, so we're going to continue on, finish up. There's one more point here regarding rhythm. And then we'll move on to pitch as we move on. So quick recap, just on what we were just talking about. We've got simple time signatures that have the 2, the 3, or the 4 on top. And we call it simple time because 2, 3, or 4 on top, there's only 2 beats, 3 beats, or 4 beats in a measure. So it's simple. We're about to get complicated with it. So if you thought we were complicated before, it's about to get more. No. But this is simple. There's 2 beats in a measure, 3 beats in a measure, 4 beats in a measure. They correspond with your hand movements. There's not going to be any extra beats or anything in there. Now, what we're going to move to is what we call compound time. Because sometimes, well, here, let's do the quick review just so we're on track. What is the top number? Number of beats per measure. What's the bottom number? Kind of notes get 1 beat. Where's the time signature located? Left. Yep, near the beginning of the first line, left-hand side. Time signature equals, what's another way to say that? Meter signature. Simple time has what on top? 2, 3, or 4. Yep. All right. Now, we'll move past this. We talked a little bit about this. Okay, so now sometimes there are songs where we like to take the simple beat, but we add 3 beats into one of those beats. So in the case of O to be like thee, O to be, that's 1 beat. O to be like thee, blessed Redeemer. So we're compounding 3 beats into 1, right? And that's usually shown, in some music, it's shown by the little bracket on top with a 3 saying these 3 are all 1 beat. So put them together, okay? And there's, I think, if you have your book, 506 shows this in action. The kingdom of earth pass away. It's yeah. Yeah. So it's got these there. The da da da. That's all 1 beat, and you've got that throughout the song. Those brackets and compounding it. And another word for that is triplets, right? So when you see those in music, people will call that the triplets. Another way to write it, though, and if you've got a lot of these triplet feels in a song, we write it in what's called a compound time, to where we are making that consistent throughout the whole song, and we've got these 3 beats, compounded into 1 arm motion, 1 overall beat. So, in other books, there are arrangements of O to be like thee where it's written like this. Instead of in 3/4, where you've got 3 beats in a measure and they're compounding them, it's written in 9/8. So there's 9 beats in a measure. The 8th note gets the beat, and so you've got 9 eighth notes in there, and so it's O to be, you lead it the same way. O to be like the blessed Redeemer. It's just another way to write that and kind of another way to arrange that. Well, so you're not beating out O to be like the you'd wear out. No, but you're compounding it in. So O to be like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that would be bad news. So that's what we're talking about with compound time, is we are condensing those 3 beats into, your arm movement doesn't change. We still use the duple pattern, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My hand doesn't change. It's just the amount of beats we're cramming into that space, right? So the things to remember about compound time is the feel. And I really want to get this across, because if nothing else, if you're just padding it, the feel is going to be the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get this kind of rhythm in there where you've got the emphasis, and a lot of the lyrics are going to be written where the emphasis is on those main beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? And compound time has a 6, a 9, or a 12 on top. So simple time, 2, 3, or 4. Compound time, 6, 9, or 12. So 2-beat compound rhythm, you've got a 6 is the top number. You're going to emphasize the 1 beat and the 4 beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feel free to beat along. We're going to use the duple pattern and just down, up. Nothing different than what we were doing. We're just going to count it differently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So do you feel that where that accent is and how it kind of matches up with where your hand is? Because that's the feel you want. You want, as a leader, you want that cemented inside you when you're leading these songs. You want to know where that is. So we've got the similar thing in 6/4. You've got 6 beats per measure, 6 compound beats per measure, but a quarter note gets the beat. So there's going to be 6 quarter notes in every measure. And in 6/8, you've got 6 beats in the measure, 6 eighth notes are in that measure. Does that make sense? And again, we're talking about the relativity of the exact same discussion we had earlier. It's just the quarter note to the eighth note here. I'm not highlighting as I'm going along. So the conductor beat pattern, again, duple. So how do we figure out the conductor beat pattern in compound time? You take the top number and you divide it by 3. And you figure out, okay, so 6 divided by 3 is 2. That's your duple pattern. If you have a 9, divide that by 3. That's 3. That's your triple pattern. If you have 12, divide by 3. That's 4. That's your quadruple pattern and your 4-beat pattern. So that's kind of your trick to figuring out what hand motion you use for the song. If it's a 6, it's going to be the duple, 9, triple. Yeah.
And I don't know if you mentioned this, but these books give you the number of beats.
Yes.
There, right under on the top.
But that's cheating. He wants us to learn it.
That is true. Yes. After I leave, you can use that all you want. Yeah. So there. Yeah. So you've got the cheat notes up at the top that will tell you the key, the what pattern, and when you've got a little C. So like on 469, I just turned to. It's a compound song. Why do I sing about Jesus? The time signature is 6/4. And the cheat at the top tells us it's a 2-beat pattern, but it's compound. It's got a 2C, so you're going to have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's other songs that just have a 2, where it's going to be the simple 1, 2, 1, 2. So yeah, those are definitely very useful, but it is also equally useful to know the time signatures, because there are books that don't have that. And I led at a funeral a couple years ago where they did not have any of this. And I had to quickly go through my head, okay, wait a minute, what key signature, and go through that.
How many sharps and flats?
Exactly, yeah, and I wasn't prepared for that. I hadn't thought ahead, so it took me a second. But yeah, so the resources up there at the top are very, very useful as well. All right, so we go to the 3-beat compound rhythm. It's 9/4 and 9/8 are the 3-beat compound time signatures that we're going to come across. 9/4, same thing. 9 beats in a measure. Quarter note gets the beat. There are 9 quarter notes in the measure. 9/8, 9 beats in a measure. The 8th note gets the beat. And so if we're figuring out our beat pattern, we take 9 divided by 3. We get our triple beat pattern, which is down, out, up. And let's do this a little bit to get the feel of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. One thing to note about the 3-beat compound rhythms, almost always when they start, they're going to start 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're going to start with that, oh, to be like thee. So like when you're looking at those songs, they're never going to start on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're going to have that beat at the front. Any questions? Yes, sir.
So you say like it ought to be likely when you want to have like, so when you do your signature, you would start the song. Mm-hmm. If it starts like it ought to be likely.
Yes. Yeah. So in that case, you'd be out here and you go, oh, to be like thee. Yeah. Yeah. So you give a little breath and then you start going up. Absolutely. All right. That's the 3-beat compound. triple beat pattern, and then we get to the 4-beat compound, which you've got 12 is the top number, and again, the same process. There's 12 beats in your measure, 12/4, 12 beats in the measure, and you've got a quarter note as your beat, so 12 quarter notes. The 12/8 is 12 eighth notes in a measure, and that is 12 divided by 3 is what? 4. So we're going to use our quadruple beat pattern, right? So let's go ahead and practice that, get the feel of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. A lot of these compound songs I would recommend is leaders to emphasize those beats when you're singing them. This is where the voice inflection comes in handy, because these songs they can get out of hand at times, depending on what song and what it is. And so we need to use everything that's available to us. So we use our hands and be very clear, and we use our voices. So when with the Savior we enter the glory land, won't it be wonderful there, right? And add those accents in as you're leading. Have thine affections been nailed to the cross. That helps get that feeling across to the congregation, and they come with you. Did you have a...
Yeah, so if you see a compound, does that mean you're probably going to be moving your hand less frequently than, there's a lot of notes?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. So really it's just, it's simplifying the way we're leading to where, I mean, this, you would wear out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, you couldn't do it, right? And a lot of times these songs are faster, you know, in most cases. And so, yeah, so all it is, in fact, we can do, I can pull up, I've got an exercise. There, if we went through a simple beat song to a compound beat song, our hand movement would not change at all. You know, God is so good. Have thine affections been nailed to the cross? Is thy heart right with God? Right? Hand doesn't change at all. It's just how many beats we're fitting in there.
And
So
getting more words in.
yeah, you're fitting more words in,
Yeah.
but your hand movement doesn't change. All right. Any questions on any of that?
Yeah, can you go back on the whole, it starts on, they don't start on the first beat, and
Yes.
how to deal with that?
Yes, and there is a great... Here, let's start. Here, I'll catch that while I go through this, because I wanted to show you this really quick. So the rhythm section in this book is 73 through 85. Everything you need to know about song leading and rhythm is in these sections with the songs that we have to do. So we went over page 73, the whole notes, the rest, the time signatures and their meaning. All of those things are here. So if you come to a song and you don't know what that time signature is, you can come here and look, and you can understand what that says. Compound examples of all the note shape patterns. Page 76 is the warm-up exercise that we did a little earlier, going through the duple patterns, the triple patterns, the quadruple patterns, and just kind of a way to practice that. Page 77 is those patterns drawn out and the time signatures that go with them. So again, if you're trying to figure out, I've got a 6/8 song and I don't remember what beat pattern to use, you can go here and look for the diagram. So it's there. And then the rest of the section goes over every single starting position you're going to run into in these books. Every in Hymns for Worship, the supplement, every single possible starting combination where your hand should be is in these exercises here. So if we start with When I Survey the Wondrous Cross on page 78, it's a 2/2 song, and it starts on beat 1 of the measure. So notice we've got that first measure is a full measure. There are 2 half notes worth of beats there. And so where is our hand going to start when we start singing? Where are we going to go? Down, right? That's our first beat. Before that, what do we need to give the congregation before we give that first beat?
A clue that you're starting.
A clue that we're starting, yeah, a breath beat. Everybody take a breath. And so if we're coming down on that first beat, we're going to be up here. When I survey, right? We're going to give them a preparatory beat or a breath beat before that. And so we're going to come down. So this is where your question came in. So here we're starting on beat 1, so we give them a preparatory beat of up. Okay. Then as we go down here, time starting on beat 2. This is starting on the second beat of that measure. So where's our hand going when we start? Up. Where would our breath beat be? Down. So we go, oh, listen to our wondrous story. Right?
On the up.
Yeah, so, oh, listen, because our breath beat is down. And really all that's doing is helping you get your arm in the right place for when you start, right? I mean, you could go, oh, listen. I mean, you could do that, but you want to get in your rhythm. Yeah. So we've got examples of it starting on the second half of the measure there. When we get to the second page here, 79, to love the Lord, what beat does that start on? It's a 2-2 song. There's 2 half notes. Get the beat. On the and of 2, right? So this is a more complicated one. It's not just oh, listen to, but it's to love the Lord. It's just right there at the very top. If you look at our duple, let me see, let's go back. If you look at our duple diagram, where is the and where's our hand on the and of the beat?
That's triple.
Oh, I didn't get back far enough. I'm sorry. No. Good catch. I didn't get back. Well, it applies here. Where's the and on the top of our beat?
Now you're on this one?
Yes.
It'd
Yeah.
be at 5.
Yeah. So our and is at the top, right? We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? We're up here. And so and that's compound, but in simple, 1 and 2 and, right? So it's always going to be at the top. So here, to love the Lord. It's a little pop at the top. That's what we call that when you're starting it, a pop at the top. To love the Lord, right?
Because it's so quick. I mean,
It's not a whole beat. It's just a little beat there to go. And you don't really have a full breath beat there. It's to love the Lord, right? Yes?
Just because you're using it when you're explaining, can you go over 1E and up?
Yes. When we are dividing the beats and learning to count songs, so taking our 2-2 example here, 1, 2, 1, 2. If we divide that further to our eighth notes, it's 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And when we get to the compound time, 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a, right? It's a way to count. You can look at the music and yeah. Yeah, exactly. And 1E and a 2E and a 3. You can keep going and counting all when you start subdividing, getting all those different note values. But it's a way to count as you're going through. All right. Any questions as we're kind of going through there? Does that help answer your question a little bit?
you want me to do Oh to Be Like You more?
Yeah. So if you go to page 82 on here in your book, Oh to Be Like Thee is the first song at the top. We're now in a 3/4 time, so we're simple 3 beat. There's a 3 on top. So what arm motion would we be using? What beat pattern? The triple, right? The 3. So what beat does it start on in the measure?
3 Anna.
It starts, yeah. So it starts on 3, and it's the 3 Anna because it's got that triplet feel at the beginning there. So your preparatory beat is always going to be the beat before the beat you start on. So if we're starting on 3 Anna, where is our beat before that? Beat 2, out here, right? So, oh, to be like thee, right? So the way to remember that is always going to be the beat before the beat you start on is your preparatory beat.
If there had been notes there, that's what you would have.
Yeah. If you were just going along, you go 1, 2, oh, to be like thee, right? So that's a way to remember kind of figuring out your prep beat and how you start a song.
That's right. And that's to give us when and let everybody know I'm starting.
Yes, yeah, dual purpose. Everybody takes a breath together and everybody knows, okay, we're starting now. Very good.
So what helps me is that, like I said before, I got to concentrate on when that song, when I get like, I'm coming down. That's my first beat of the measure. So you just kind of back up from that. Okay, what do I need to do to get like right there on the downbeat?
for sure.
I just go, oh, to be like thee. I know, got it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And again, there is nothing wrong with padding that first beat. If you're having trouble figuring out where your breath beat is and all of that, there's nothing wrong with oh to be like thee, but right, and you can go in there, and once you hit that one, you can get into your beat pattern. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's all about clear and concise communicating.
I don't know if you disagree with this, but something I commonly do with pickup notes is, specifically in the case of O to be like thee, you can just imagine there's a half rest before that, and it's a full complete measure, and you can do like, O to be like.
Yep.
And then you just imagine there's a half rest there, and you've got the brief beat on two.
Yeah, so you can imagine the rest of that measure's there. In technicality, when we get into the music, the rest of the measure is there. It's just at the end of the song. And so that if you're looking at the full song, the last measure of that song is only going to have 2 beats. But that not always come into play. But when we start the song, that's why some of the songs start that way. All right. So I just wanted to give you those resources. These last few exercises are great because if you come across a song and you notice that it starts on beat 2 of a song, or it starts on the end of 3 of a song, or something like that, every one of those are in this book, and you can practice that. It's got every starting position for every key signature within this section. So I want to make sure I pointed that out.
And the starting position you're talking about is on 82, or to be likely, is that 3. That's what
Yes. Yes, correct. And so you'll notice, so the headers in the book, time starting on beat 3, time starting off beat 3, or the end of 3. So there's descriptions on all of the different.
Is that triple? That's duple?
Yes.
So is that triple?
Yes, that's true. We're in compound time, but yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I understand, sorry.
Okay, yeah. No,
Matt, if I'm leading higher ground, for instance, at the top of page 82, under O to be like these,
Mhm.
I mean, if I'm looking at the song in the songbook, how do I know it starts on and, 3 and? Like, I mean, that's nice, I see that there. but
Sure.
it's just-
yeah, it's not always written, right?
No.
Yeah, so how do we know where, if it starts on and? So I always go to the first full measure. So right across the measure line, I know that on is going to be beat 1, right? So I know that, and I also know from the music, there's 3 beats in a measure. So I know, and the quarter note gets the measure. The quarter note gets the beat. So 2/8 notes equals a quarter note. So 2/8 notes is a beat. So if I'm counting backwards, I've got those 2 quarter notes pressing, that's 1 beat. So that's going to be my beat 3, and then there's an extra beat before that, and so that's going to be the and of 2. So it's kind of working your way backwards to figure that out in the music.
And the reason it's and, Brian, is because those aren't quarter notes, those are 8th notes.
Yeah, and so that's where.
It would not be an and, it would be.
Right, so that's where the key signature comes into play, and you want to know what note value is getting the beat so you can figure out, is it an and, is it on the beat right on or not?
And so it's faster because it's the 8th note.
Correct. All very good questions. Anything else on rhythm? I know that was a lot, and we shoved a lot in there.
I think that the stuff that you showed up front with the whole note,
Mhm.
half note, it is math, and you just have to kind of work through that. I think these math problems early on, eventually it becomes really natural, but at first you just got to kind of backtrack, because that could also have been a dotted quarter, and it would have been exactly the same thing. It would still started on and, just because those 3 notes would also equal dotted quarter, which is the very next note, on.
Yeah.
So that, it's just,
I go cross-eyed on there.
Yeah, oh, I get it.
Just keep taking fractions.
Yeah, and that's why when we talk about it, we get the relativity of the note values and know kind of how they have a relationship with each other. All right, so I'm going to switch gears to pitch really quick. If we could go to the other slide, there, I think it's number 2 on there, just so we can get that. I don't know that we'll.
Slide presentation.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The other.
Slide presentation number 2.
And in the books, we will be moving to the front section of the book. I think page 7 starts the pitch section. Page 7 of the workbook.
Spiritual.
Is that right, Matt?
Yes, I believe so. Let me double check. Thank you. Yep. All right. So in this one, we're gonna go kind of quick through, but I'm gonna point out all of the resources that are in here. Hopefully, will help. as we go. All right, so again, thinking about improving as worship leaders, Ephesians 5:19 is one of the passages we go to when we look at song worship, singing and making melody in your hearts to the Lord, right? I want to encourage you, and I don't have a lot on this one, but I want to encourage you as we're thinking about being song worship leaders, leading God's people in worship, that we need to be people worth following and on and off the podium. As leaders, we need to be people that people want to follow and be examples. Be an example on how to worship, be an example on really how to live, because if we're not living right outside of leading worship, people will see that, and they'll see through that, and they won't necessarily follow, and you get into the Pharisee hypocrisy world that Jesus condemned when it came to their service to God. And so I just wanted to encourage us as leaders that it's not all about the music. It's not just about even just leading worship when we're up here, but it goes beyond that and how we're treating our brethren. Do we have relationships with our brothers and sisters and to where they trust us and they want to worship with us and they want to follow. They can follow our thought processes as we're leading them through worship. And so just a reminder as we go through that. And also in that, we need to be working to worship ourselves. We're talking a lot about some technical stuff that when you get up here and you're not familiar with it, your mind is flooded with it, and it's hard to think about worshiping ourselves. And this is where I struggle the most. Because, I can put together a worship service, I can do the technical things, but am I really worshiping when I'm up there? And it's a struggle for me, and I have to work on that. But what are some things that as a worship leader we can do to make our own worship more likely, that we can set ourselves up for success?
As leaders,
Yeah.
Practice,
Yes.
practice a lot beforehand so that when you get up there, you don't have to worry about it as much and you're able to put more of your mind towards God.
Yes, yeah, practice a lot beforehand. That's probably the biggest thing, right? If we prepare and we know our songs and we've worked through all of these things, we shouldn't be getting up here and being like, okay, this song is in 6/4, and that means I'm divide by 2. That's going to be my duple pattern. That shouldn't be figured out while we're standing up here, right? That's all things that we need to do in preparation ahead of time so that we know that stuff is already taken care of and we can focus. Yes, ma'am.
On the other hand, don't be so perfectionist that you're paralyzed.
Yeah, absolutely. That too, yeah. Give yourself some grace, right? It's okay that if you mess up, people are still going to sing. People are still going to worship, and it's okay. Don't be so such a perfectionist. I think that's a great point.
I just always remember that my brethren are behind me because that does happen. You are going to make mistakes. Nobody's ever come up to me and said, you really blew that song.
Yes.
They're behind you.
Absolutely.
Singing brings out the emotion in service, so put some emotion into it, and that may take some practice to do that.
Yes.
Like Mary's saying, we can be so concerned about doing things perfect that we're like an animatronics guy up there doing that, and we need to put the emotion into it.
Yeah, and early on, that was something that was difficult for me trying to put emotion into it because I have a music background and I learned music from an early age, and I'm not a professional by any means, but I was very familiar with that, and so I was always wanting to, I want to get this technically correct. The church always sings this rhythm wrong. I'm going to fix that today, right? And then we always sing it too slow. I'm going to fix that, and we're going to do it right. And that's not what worship is about, right? That's not, if the church decides they want to sing, I will call upon the Lord the wrong way the rest of their lives, that's fine. Let them do that. I don't have to reteach that. But focusing on the content, right? Focusing on the content and what it is we're singing and the emotion behind that really does help. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of times you go to different congregations or when you lead sing and people they're used to leading sings at a different speed. And so do you I was always taught that they need to follow the song leader, and the song leader's the leader of the song. They need to follow him. So should you just keep on doing it correctly like you think it ought to be done, or you slow down and do it according to the way the congregation is used to singing?
That's always a debate internally that I have with myself. Do I keep pushing the congregation to sing it correctly? My answer to that is not during a worship service. If there's an issue that needs to be addressed, teach it during a singing time, invite people over the house and teach the song, address it that way. And then when you get to the worship service, my other answer to that is it doesn't always matter. If it's really messing up the song and it's going to be a problem, that's sometime that needs to be addressed. But again, if it's a song that people have sang for their entire lives, they're not going to change. If there's a hold at the end of a song and they've sung it that way their entire lives, it's just sing with the hold, right? Or, and let everybody worship without having that distraction.
So we may need to, if a congregation is singing a certain rhythm or holding a certain note longer than they should, if you get up and lead a song, you just need to adapt to that.
At the end of the day, yeah. I mean, like I said, I like to follow the music, and I would try to train outside of the worship service. But in my mind, Sunday morning is not the time to say, okay, I'm taking my stand, and we're going to sing this right today, right? Personally, did you?
I was just going to add something to your other
Yeah.
question about, remember that we're here to praise God. He's our audience. It's
Yes.
not the people out there. And I think sometimes the song leaders, we think they're the audience and they're watching us and it's about us. And let's remember we're here to worship God. He's listening.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that can help kind of moderate some of this.
Yeah, remembering our purpose, right? And that's why I keep trying to bring these ideas in, because it can get overwhelming when we're looking at the pitch and the rhythm and beat patterns and where is my hand supposed to be.
He's not looking to catch us in mistake.
No.
He just wants to know is our heart in the right place.
Absolutely. Very good point. Tim?
So if we go back to the original question about what are some things that we can do, I've kind of thought this for several years, that if Brian just got up there and preached every Sunday by winging it, and Dwayne did the same thing, if he was just always winging it, I would have a conversation with him. He'd say, Brian.
Yeah.
But every now and then, Brian does have to wing it. It's like he's in a situation where, can you say something, and he's pulling on his talents of what he knows. He's not gonna just make it up. He's gonna go back to something he's well established on, and he can speak off the cuff. Songwriting's kind of like that too. Every now and then, somebody's gonna say, "Can you lead singing?" And you're gonna pull on what you know and go up there. But it's good to set time aside and actually know what you're gonna sing, why you're gonna sing it, what the song is about, and just do that same kind of prep before you lead singing. And put that same kind of time. It is kind of like if you're leading. Brian's leading us when he's teaching. You're leading and teaching the song, and so it's the same kind of thing.
Absolutely. No, and we'll talk about that in a little bit on the preparation that's needed and the mindset of leading people in worship. And I think that is an absolutely valid point, is the preparation needed. Absolutely.
Yeah, back to what Steve was asking earlier, is it okay to just say to the congregation as a leader, hey, I just want us to try something different with this song, and just only make one change? If you say we're changing the whole thing, but just say, hey, at the end of the second measure or whatever, like, let's hold this note a little bit longer, and let's try that. And so,
Absolutely.
So it doesn't come across as like, well, you guys have been doing it wrong, I'm changing everything. It's just, hey, let's, and sometimes people will come up to you and be like, wow, that was a really good change. That was really helpful. For
sure. Absolutely. And that's a great way. And even if they're not doing it wrong, but you want to emphasize something that day, like, hey, we're going to sing the fourth verse very slowly. And we're going to think about the phrases, and we're going to pause after each. There's nothing wrong with that, absolutely. Or if they, hey, you know what, let's try not holding it in this measure this time, and we're going to just go right through. I think a simple, clear communication like that is good. You just don't want to go over, you reprimand and be like, all right, guys, we gotta fix this today, right? Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, this is only like 3 comments. On the making mistakes aspect, and like people stand and say, you're going to make mistakes. You have to get good at the mental component of what happens when you make a mistake, and sort of that mental recovery. Because especially when you're trying to worship, if you do something wrong and start the song wrong, let's say you accidentally pitch it wrong, the congregation kind of goes with it, and you're sort of mentally recovering for a few measures. You can't let it ruin the whole song for you.
Yeah.
And that is, that's kind of a huge thing. And then there's the preparation. preparation helps prevent the mistakes, but you need both. One thing I'm thinking about preparation when it comes to conducting is you're going to benefit way more than I can describe if you were really comfortable with these conducting patterns. Because honestly, most song leaders, let's just face it, most song leaders are not.
Sure.
So they sort of resort to sort of a fundamental something else that kind of gets them through. But what happens when you do that is you're not really leading the congregation, and it's affecting your worship. You are weak in your conducting, and that means when the congregation starts to drag, are you going to lead the congregation, or is the congregation leading you?
Sure.
In your hand, and that's, I think, I watch sometimes and I think that's a leading cause of tempo problems, is the song leaders conducting is starting to follow the congregation instead of the other way around.
Yep.
And so then you're going to have more anxiety and more recovery problems.
Yep.
And by the way, conducting, I don't see people push this enough because it's uncomfortable. Watch yourself in a mirror.
Yeah. That was exactly.
I like that idea because it feels weird. Imagine other people watching you do it.
Yep.
It is weird, and that's why you need to watch yourself do it, because then you'll realize right away, oh, I can't do that. That's wrong.
Absolutely. You guys want to know a humbling experience is going back and watching the live stream from when you led last night. That was very, very humbling when I looked at that and realized, man, did I really do that? But it is a helpful tool because especially when, I noticed, and I don't know, with this monitor here, your hand's going to get lost if it's not high enough. And people aren't going to be able to see, especially if there's, I don't know, whoever's sitting down here, I don't know if they lost my hand several times, but I know my hand was lower than it should have been and a couple times. So you've got to be aware of your surroundings, of your environment here, and make sure that you're clearly visible, right? And watching in the live streams and getting feedback from people here and looking in the mirror, making sure, okay, are my beats very clear? Those are very important to practice and to get more comfortable with it. You want to get to a point where you're doing these beat patterns without even thinking about it. And not, it's just nature, and you can sing, and your hands going, and there's no, there's nothing else there. Yeah.
Just case in point to back you up, I was watching the live stream last night, and a couple times I saw you do something, and I was thinking, well, how would I do that? What would it look like? Because I feel like if I tried to do that, it wouldn't look like I think it looks like. I looked at the mirror, and I went, God, if I'd have not done that, I wouldn't have known.
Right.
Especially when you're talking about like subdividing within the conducting pattern stuff, you really got to see what you're doing there.
For sure, yeah, so that feedback really helps. All right, great comments. I really appreciate all the feedback, and I definitely, I want to get to this next section here. I am not under any illusion that that we're all going to learn every key signature today and memorize that, but I want to give you the tools and what the basic things we're going to be looking at so that you can keep, let me get past here. So this is a good point, and I've talked a little about this when we're talking about beat patterns. The term economy of motion. Again, we don't want to get flowery and extra with all of our anything that we do up here. We want to be very clear and concise and simple with what we're doing, because number one, we don't need it. We can be very clear and concise, but then if you want to add something to your song and you're already being flowery or you're being big or something like that, what are you going to do? If you're already doing that, you can't signal something else, right? But if you're very clear and concise as you want to get louder, you can bring in an extra hand and you can get louder, or you can be normal and then you can bring it down. There are things you can do that if your regular beat pattern is simple, you can bring in some extra things like your second hand or bigger patterns, or maybe even if it's a softer, more contemplative song, you can lose the beat pattern. You can kind of go a little, I don't recommend that all the time, but you can kind of go with the emotion of the song a little bit and bring some meaning to it that way. But you can't do that if that's what you always do and you don't have that as a foundation. So just something to bring out and wanted you think about. All right, this is our review. All right, pitch. A couple things that just have to memorize. There's not really a good way to figure this out. There's no real keys, but you just got to memorize it, okay? When we look at key signatures, so real quick, the key signature, when we're talking about figuring out what key and what pitch we're singing, pitch means high and low, right? So we talked about rhythm, the length we're singing. Pitch means how high or low we're singing. And the key is basically the field of play that we're in, right? So if we're in the key of C, our notes are here. If we're in the key of D, so it's kind of a relative scale, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But the key signature, when we're looking at a song, it's to the left of the time signature. So if you have a song and you'll see there's little flat signs and sharp signs, and I'll show that in a second. But so you've got the key signature and time signature right next to each other. And that helps tell us what our starting note is. That's how we figure out where we start, where we blow on our pitch pipe, and how we go. So to memorize, if there are no sharps or flats in the song that you're singing, you're going to be in the key of C. Again, there's no other trick. You just have to know if there's no sharps or flats, you're in the key of C. Okay? If there is one flat, you've got to memorize that you're in the key of F. And I'll show you. I'll show this up here in a second, but I just wanted to get this out of the way. If there are two keys, or for keys with two or more flats, so if there are two flats in your key signature or more, then the next to the last flat is going to be your key. So going left to right, the right one's your last one, the next to the last one is going to be your key. So a very quick visual way to figure that out. And if you've got sharps, more than any sharps, the note above the last sharp. So wherever the sharp is sitting on the staff, the note above that is going to be the key. Okay? So we'll explain some of that. Only those who read their key signatures will avoid forgetting how to read your key signatures. You got to keep practicing it. It's something that it takes work. And this is not my strong point. My strong point's rhythm. This I have to think through and work through, and sometimes use the cheats up at the top when I'm working quickly. But you'll be able to pitch songs from any source, right? And my example of the funeral the other day, it was I had to sit there and work, okay, where's my do, where's the key signature, and work that in my mind, which if I had that readily memorized, it would have been better. So again, key signature is to the left of the time signature. These are some questions you want to ask yourself when you're figuring out, okay, what key is the song in? Does this key signature have sharps or flats? Because that is so this one has flats. So that is going to determine how I figure out my key, right? Because if it has flats, I'm going to go the second to the last one, and that's going to be my key. So in this case, we are in the key of D flat, because that's where it sits on the staff. How many flats are there? Which one is the key?
Based on number of flats.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
5 flats, it's always.
For sure. Yeah, you can definitely memorize it. I have never memorized them, so I use these tricks. But yeah, you can absolutely memorize 5 flats, key of D flat, and so on. So if there is a song in the key of D flat here, what is the key? It's going to be D flat. What is the key I'm going to blow on my pitch pipe or in my app? Yeah, I'm going to blow the do. D flat is going to be my do, so I'm going to blow it. Do. And then in this case, I'm going to go up to the do. Do, mi, so, do. Right? And that's going to be where I start that song. So I've got to find the key. I've got to find my starting note, or find the do, and then get to my starting note from there. What is the syllable of the... we haven't gotten to the syllables yet, so I will not ask you that. All right. I pulled this from a review I did in one of my last sessions. So, all right. So the treble clef and the treble staff. When we're talking about the note names, this is what we're looking at. The treble clef has the little squiggly thing at the front, and it's the top portion of your song. It's made up of lines and spaces. The lines E, G, B, D, F. The spaces F, A, C, E. There are some mnemonics to memorize that. Every good boy does fine, or face on the spaces, right? So the lines, every good boy does fine, you can memorize that. So anything, if you're looking at a song and any note comes on that bottom line of the treble clef, it's always going to be an E, okay? So if you're looking and trying to find, okay, where is my note? It's going to be an E. and so on. So you can find things there. Again, I've got the page numbers in the book listed there, so if you need to make notes and reference where these are and follow along, they're there. The bass clef down the bottom part of your song has the little inverted C, backward C there, and those lines and spaces have their own names as well. G, B, D, F, A, and then the spaces A, C, E, G. And again, those are just things to remember, so you can kind of figure out what the notes are. We went through that. All right. So I'm actually going to pull an audible because I did not put a slide in here for this. Go to page, let's see. Because this is going to be important. Go to page 2, I'm sorry. Because we need to talk about the shape notes. Because that is an important tool for us to use as we are learning how to read music and sing these songs and be able to sight read and understand where these notes are. So the shape notes, the syllables that we use, solfege, different names for them. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? We're kind of familiar with those concepts. This is what's known as a relative scale. So I can blow, in this case on page 2, the scale we have there in the middle is an E flat. I can blow that. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's my scale. I could also decide to blow a C. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So all I'm doing, the same relativity, just shifted that down to a different key. I could go to G. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So when we're looking at these shape notes, what I want us to know is the difference that they sound and the spaces between them, and get familiar with that. So let's sing that scale together, and I'll do it a little lower for us. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Very good. So do can be anywhere. Do can be anywhere on the staff, and I like to picture it as a football field, and you've got your line of scrimmage can be anywhere on the field, right? Do is where that ball is set, and based on where the ball is set, everybody else knows where to go. The team lines up, and everybody knows where to go from there. If the ball is set on the 10, they have a different formation. They line up in a certain way. The ball is on the 20, different, and it shifts that way. But all it's doing is shifting as they go up the field, and that's exactly what we're doing. The notes, the scale stays the same. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Stays the exact same all the way up. But all we're doing is changing the starting note, and that's just shifting those tones based on where that is. So when we're talking about the key signatures and finding the key, we're finding the do. We're finding where the starting point is, and then everybody else can figure out where they're going to be based on that. Does that make sense? Okay. So I wanted to make sure we touched on that. And then also the other thing, and I don't know if there's a page for that in here, but I'll point it out here on page 2. So we also have what we call the song leader scale that nearly, I would say 95% of all songs start on one of these three notes, and it's do, mi, or so. So do, mi, so, mi, do. So those are the 95% of the songs we sing are going to start on one of those syllables, one of those notes. And you can find those on the scale. It's the same. Do, re, mi, do, re, mi, fa, so, do, mi, so, right? So do, mi, or so are where the song leaders are going to start most of the songs. If you notice here the shapes, each of these tones are represented by a different shape. You've got do is represented by a triangle. Re is represented by the half circle. Mi is a diamond. Fa is a flag. So is the circle. La is the square. T is the ice cream cone looking thing. And then you've got do again, which is the triangle. So when you're looking at a song, so let's go back to our song we did this morning, God is So Good, 47. Just so we can see this in practice. So the first note of this song for the soprano, the first note, what symbol is that? Do. It's a triangle, so it's going to be do. So do is the base, it is the key of the entire scale. It is on the E flat line, the first line there, and it's an E, and because of the key signature, we know it's an E flat. And so to lead this, you blow the E flat, do, and that would be the note you start on. God is so good. What you're doing when you give your pitch is that you're giving everybody else their starting notes as well. Notice the basses have that same do. So when you give that do, they know where they're going to start. The altos, they're on the so below, so they can go do, so they can find out their start. And then the tenors are on the mi above that, do, mi. So by giving that one note, everybody can figure out where they're supposed to be, and by using these shape notes. Tracking with me so far? We're good? Okay.
Matt,
Yes.
So, here's some song leaders will play the starting note, the do, and they hum a couple other notes. Are those the starting notes of each of the four parts?
So, sometimes, yes, there are some leaders that do that. I don't always do that, just because I think if I can I try to give as many people as possible, but I don't always do all of them. So on the page, Hark the Herald Angels Sing on page 46, what note do we start on here? So we're not starting with the do, right? So here I would blow my do because I need to find where my do is and give that to everybody. So we're in the key of G here. No, but I'm going to go down to my so for my starting note. Do, so. And by doing that, I've given the soprano, alto, and basses their starting notes. Now the tenor, they're on their own on this song. They got to figure it out. But I've given 3 out of the 4. If there's let's find another example. 62. Did you think to pray? What note does it start on? What's the syllable? Mi, right? So we're going to find our do, and we're going to go up to the mi. So we're in the key of F here. No, mi. So now I've given alto, bass, and soprano again, their first starting notes. Do, mi, and then tenor again. They're on their own. They're usually on their own. But you could go up and give that one, but then you just have to go back down and find your do. And for me, I like to find my do and stay there because I might lose it, right?
Can you just give the shortcut again? I didn't see it in the book, but like you just said, oh, that's the key of F. So
yes.
How did you do that?
Yeah, so, yes, yeah. So F is 1 flat. So if you're looking at the key signature and there's 1 flat there, you just have to memorize that one.
No shortcut.
Yeah.
It's 1 flat.
I'm all about shortcuts.
Yes, for sure. So if you go to 63, the next page, I need the every hour. How many flats do we have? We've got 4 flats. We've got more than 1 flat. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at the right, and the second to the last flat, A flat, that's going to be our key. Okay, so that's going to be our do. Now our do is not always our starting note, like we've noted. So you find the do, then you find your starting note, and then you start. Okay, that helps.
What I didn't see in the book was that second to last trick you're talking
Yes,
about.
yeah. That is not written down. That is a handwritten note I made. So that is not written in here. So if you want to make that note.
didn't like that?
Well,
Yeah, that's the shortcut. Yeah. On page 10, let's do page 9. Page 9 and 10 cover the key signatures and figuring out the keys. On page 9, you've got all of the keys listed out that are in our books that we sing, right? So you've got the key of C with no flats and no sharps. And here you've got all of the possible starting notes that you will sing in the key of C. Do, do, mi, so, do. In the key of C, those are the 4 starting notes you're going to have out of the songs that we have. Yeah.
Sorry, so it's the second to last flat, and then what do you do with the sharp? What's that trick?
The sharp, so you go to your last sharp, and it's the note above that. So like for example, with one sharp with G, it's on the top line, which is an F. The note above that is G.
So not the sharp above it.
Right.
The note above it.
Yes.
That was always confusing to me.
Yeah, that is.
Above it.
So that's another thing to remember about flats. So when you're in flats, whatever the key is, so like the key of B flat here, with 2 flats, it's on the flat is on the B line. The key isn't B. The key is B flat. But on the sharps, when you're looking there and you go across to, you've got 3 sharps, your sharp is on the G space, your key is going to be A. It's not A sharp, it's A. So flats, flat the key, sharps, just keep it the same. Does that make sense? A little bit. You've got page 9 that has all of that.
So on the sharps, it's the last sharp?
The last sharp, the note above it, yes.
So somebody showed me a shortcut that I have found very helpful, and it's from the song There Is a Habitation. That's do, re, mi. There is. And so I always do that in my head. So anything
Yeah.
like that you have, like I
For
love
sure.
that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's a great. I have that example. I think I had that later, but yeah. So there is do mi so, and then later oh Zon, lovely Zon, so do. That gets you the rest of the scale. Do mi so do. So that's another. You can finish out that song. Yeah. So that's the song leader scale. Do mi so. Do, mi, so, do, and in some cases, do, so. I started low. Do, so. So for example, if we're here at the key of A flat on page 9, I believe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, we find our do. A flat, do, mi, so, do, so, mi. I just went through every starting note in the key of A flat for a song right there. So if you can do that, if you memorize those intervals, you'll be able to find your starting note from your do in any key. And page 9 here helps you understand that, memorize it. There's also some tricks on page 10, just some good written out references. Flat number 1, it tells you how to determine the key signature and all of that. Just some more helpful information there. And I wanted you to make sure you guys had that. We are at the end of the hour here. So I tell you what, let's spend the rest of the time just going through the book here. I've got a few minutes here, and I want to show you the what else we can do with pitch here in this book, so you can utilize this. So basically, what this does from starting at page 11 and going to page 72. This is the pitch section, and what it does is it goes through every key, and it gives you the scale. So like, let's go through C. So we're on page 11. I'm sorry, that's page 13. Page 13 is the C major scale. So anything in the key of C, you've got the scale here that you can practice going up and see how it's written out on the staff.
Practice. Can you please?
Yeah, absolutely.
With us? Yeah.
Absolutely. So if I were going to go through here, you'd start.
C major.
Yeah, C major on page 13, and so you'd blow your C. Do, and that's going to be your starting note there. So we go through the scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do.
So that's the practice you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going through and getting a feel for the song. A lot of times, if it's a new song, especially, and I'm trying to learn it, I'll go through the scale of that song so I can get the sounds in my head of how that goes. You've got some chromatic stuff here that is a whole other thing. But it is here if you run into that and you're wondering how to get to a sharp or a flat. Do, di, re, mi, fa, sol, si, la, li, ti, do. Right? So that's there. But what I really want to show you is page 15 and beyond, because like for the rhythm where we had every starting position, every hand position, and all the beat patterns, here we have songs with examples of every starting note and how to find that. So if you're going to a song and you notice, okay, I see that it's starting here on a mi, how do I get there? I can go here and look and work my way down. And so starting in the key of C, there's a fountain. Starts on the key, starts on do, right? And so to practice this and to understand, I would go blow the do. No, there is a fountain, right? And so you can just practice seeing how that goes. You go down, okay, to Christ be true. What's my first note? Starting note is a soprano. It's a mi, right? So I'm going to blow my do, go up to mi. No, mi, to Christ be loyal. You can also practice, one of the things I like about this is it has actually the syllables here. So if you want to work on sight reading, it has the syllables you can practice. No, mi, fa, so, mi, fa, so, do, so, la, do.
So at Calvary,
Mm-hmm.
the part on the left is showing you what you would hum
Yes.
for the members to hear.
Yes.
You would hum, you would blow the C, which is do, and then you'd go do, mi, so, whatever it was.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so you go up, do, mi, up to the sol there. Absolutely, yeah. So it's got the key there that will help you figure out how to get there. Yes, thank you for pointing that out. As you go through, again, you've got on page 16, you've got the melody starting syllables. And again, just another quick snapshot of every starting position starting in the key of C. So do there, do in, do I, do must, right? So all those four songs start on the key of C and start with that do. Second line starts on mi. So do, mi, to, do, mi, it, do, mi, gone, do, mi, when, and so on. So these are just ways, again, you can practice. And a lot of this is ear training, going through and just practicing and understanding, okay, when I blow the do, this is how I'm going to sound it, do, and then where I need to go from there. Do, mi, right?
The song number in the blue book.
Yes, yeah. So you could take that and go look in the songbook and see how it translates there, for sure. Has some sight reading exercises in page 17 and 18. So you can take a look at all of the syllables in a song if you want to understand all of the different jumps and how they're relative in, for example, Wonderful Story of Love. And then it goes to the next key. So it goes through F major. And you've got the scale, you've got the starting syllables and everything there. But I tell you what, we're ending this session. I'm going to go ahead and end it so we can get to the next, and then we'll review. And obviously, if you have questions and anything, we'll make sure to do that. But let's sing "Wonderful Story of Love" here on page 17 out of the book, out of the workbook, if you have that.
Except we're not singing the words. We're not going to sing the words.
We sing syllables or words?
Let's do the words. We'll just do it's one verse. We'll do the words. All right. Oh, mi, so, do, wonderful story of love, time to meet again. Wonderful story of love, waving immortal strain. Angels in rapture announce it, shepherds with wonder receive it. Sinner, won't you believe it? Wonderful story of love. Very good. All right, if we want to take maybe a 5-minute break here and reset for the next, and we'll do a little review and go into talking about workshop. Thank you guys.